Hello, Cringe Crew Music Podcast Series 2. In this series, we are listening to and reviewing a band's entire discography. Still going through the Wonder Years. We are on their 2018 release, Sister Cities, which is of course, the follow-up to last episode. We took a bit of a break, a very, very long break because I was moving and such and had to do a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I'm in new place. Is nice, I guess.
Was this the fifth or sixth building we've recorded you in?
Something like that, yeah. Like the fourth at least. So yeah. So after the release of No Closer to Heaven in 2015, the band went on a tour for 2 years, massive world tour. And along the way, Dan kept a journal to document his experiences and feelings, and the band took photographs of everything they saw. Following the tour, Campbell went through the collections and highlighted excerpts he felt were meaningful. Through this reflection, lyrics began to take shape, and the band worked to compose music that fit the mood of the lyrical content. Sister Cities came together from this process as a record that seeks to create unity in a world that is becoming increasingly segregated. Taking that from the Wikipedia page there. So the central theme of this album is going to be unity, it seems. Alrighty, so I guess we can get right into it. Track number 1, Raining in Kyoto.
I remember right before this album came out, I was still working in Philly, and there were billboards on I-95 for this album coming out. And it made me super happy and super excited that, the Wonder Years were actually getting recognition in their town. And then this song came out. I'd listened to the album, and obviously this being the first track, I was like, man, this is pretty good. And I think every time I listen to it, it just kind of fades away from me a little bit more. It's definitely a grungier sound than we're used to. I guess my biggest thing is the production value. Everything just kind of sounds muddled. Mm-hmm. There's not really a strong definition of each of the instruments. And it's not to say that it's bad. It just it's like an older Pearl Jam song where it's I know this is good, but everything sounds like the same thing. And I don't, if I think about it too much, it's bad.
Yeah, this was interesting. This had a kind of a different start than I feel like they usually have. This was very abrupt and kind of fast. This feels a lot less pop punkish and a more just kind of alternative kind of. That's kind of the feel that I'm getting right now. So it's I'd be interested to see how they've changed since the last album.
Wow. Was not expecting a song kind of this heavy from them, and starting abruptly like that is a little weird, but yeah, I do kind of agree that the mixing is a little muddy, which is a shame because I really like this song otherwise. It's just the mixing is not very good, unfortunately. I don't know if anybody else picked this up, but this kind of reminds me of 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge era MCR a little bit. It sounds like something from that album.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of going through the Genius page on the background here. I'm just going to read it word for word. The song describes Campbell's grief after he learned that his grandfather had passed away just as he was boarding a flight toward Japan. Unable to attend the funeral, Campbell was left to find a semblance of closure in his own way, finding a Shinto shrine for the god Inari and mourning his grandfather in whatever way he could. It also mentions on the last album, the track Dismantling Summer, where he says, if I'm in an airport and you're in a hospital bed, well, then what kind of man does that make me? Where he's talking about how his grandfather had been ill for a few years following a series of heart attacks. And yeah, kind of, this song is kind of touching on how this is the second time he's had to talk about his grandpa or whatever, more or less. Yeah, moving on. Track number 2, Pyramids of Salt.
I think it's kind of weird to go from a song that was started at a really fast pace to give you that kind of consistent grunge to such a slow build up into this song. And much like you mentioned in the last one, Conley, there is sort of an alternative kind of vibe to it. It's less upbeat and pop punk. There's less excitement to it. It's also just kind of tired at this point. The idea that we continue to write songs about not being able to help a friend, for an album that you said, Mike, was supposed to be such about hope, this is still just kind of, you're having problems and I can't do shit about it. And that's just kind of it. There's not a whole lot to give to this song.
Yeah, this kind of continues like an alternative kind of change to the band, and yeah, this just feels out of place going from the last song into this song. This it feels kind of like a not necessarily whiplash, but it definitely feels like a swift change. Yeah, I also feel like Ted. I feel like you're right. I feel like Dan. I feel like Dan has talked about not being able to help his friend like since the second album, and I think he's had at least 2 or 3 songs on each album since then. And I know this is obviously an important topic to him, but I feel like you can. I know you have other ideas in that brain to write about. You don't have to write the same song for the 15,000th time, Dan.
Yeah, I was gonna say it just kind of seems like he only knows how to write songs about maybe 3 or 4 things, and that's it. Like, never doesn't really have any ideas for anything else to write about. Which, like, really, uh, based on the Wikipedia page, like, yeah, so far, like, none of these. We're only 2 tracks in, of course. So I mean, maybe the next, I don't know, 8 or whatever will actually stick to the theme that you stated that you wanted it to be about. But I'm not getting any Unity vibes from either of these two at all. As far as like the song goes, I think instrumentation wise, like, I don't mind it. It's, yeah, just kind of leaning into alt rock, which is a weird way to go, but okay, whatever. Um, Song's okay. It's just kind of getting tired of songs about the same stuff, I guess. Anyway, track number 3, It Must Get Lonely.
It must get lonely.
So I think it's really cool, like as you mentioned in the intro, Mike, that this album followed a long world tour, and I think it's kind of cool in the ways in which Dan goes and sees the world, compares all of the things that he sees to just being at home at Philly and managing to compare that to like his life. Um, I also think that for the first time in a while, we actually have a song that, like, even with sadder nature, it still feels kind of upbeat and hopeful, which might be the first time we've seen that in like 2 albums, which is kind of cool. I think this is an okay song. The music and the instrumentation is fine. It's got some influences that still aren't pop punk, but in like a kind of refreshing way. Like, I think this one kind of fits the band. Overall, I think it's pretty good, pretty decent song.
Yeah, this one definitely has the more traditional, or at least the more established pop punk feel that Wonder Years has had. I don't know what it is with the producer and mixer of this album, but it just feels kind of fucked up in general because I even turned the volume down and Dan is just so fucking prominent. And like, it's not a bad thing necessarily, but his voice is the loudest part of the fucking track for me. And I actually noticed that the last 3 albums that they had, Suburbia, Greatest Generation, and No Closer to Heaven, were produced by Steven Evets, and this one is someone new. And then after this one, they went back to Steven Evets, so I don't know if I can blame them.
Yeah, this one's not bad. I do like kind of the mentions of all the different spots on the tour that they went to, and kind of comparing that to various things. It's a nice touch. I as I was listening to this, I kind of don't mind that this is less pop punk and more alternative, because that's a genre that I've kind of preferred lately. So if that's how the rest of the album is going to sound, then that's all right with me, honestly. Not much else to say about the track. What are we on? Track number 4, Sister Cities.
This one kind of gets closer back to a pop punk sound, and I think it's in a mostly positive way. The mixing still sucks. Like, you can't tell individual guitar strums. It's just kind of noise. But the one thing about the mix that I do like is that through most of the song, you can actually hear Dan recording harmonies with himself. Like, you can hear 2 instances of his voice. One is like the prominent regular singing voice, and one is that like higher pitched really in your face yell, but they make it quieter enough that it layers really nicely. I very much appreciate that about this song. It also does feel hopeful and unifying, right? And the idea that like he kind of feels the same as the rest of the world, even while he's super far from home. I think this is a really good track. It's probably the best one on the album.
Yeah, I like this one too. This definitely it still continues their they're almost kind of a mix between their pop punk and like I don't know if you really want to call it like alternative punk. Like alternative pop, kind of, I guess. It sounds kind of like a fusion between the two. But yeah, that mixing is... How many times can we bring up the mixing is just not very good on this album? No wonder they didn't use this guy again, because this so far, to me, has probably been not this song, just in general, my least favorite thing about this album so far is the mixing.
So... I was reading on how they got the title for the album, and it's really cool. The title came about when the Wonder Years were waiting at a bus station in Santiago, Chile, after their scheduled tour stop in the city was canceled. This bus station is near a monument that commemorated the city's international ties. While they were waiting, fans in Santiago asked them to play a different show, and fans picked them up from the station and took them to a venue where they played for about 100 people. Campbell describes the experience fondly, stating that it got me thinking about how we were in a country with no particular reason for being there and how immediately welcomed we felt when those kids helped us out and put us up for the night.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else to say about the track. I like it. It's good. All right. Track number 5. Flowers Where Your Face Should Be.
I saw you last night in my dream.
I don't know what to make of this one, really. I don't remember whether it was the last album or the one before. We just kind of made a comment that, like, there was a song to his wife that just didn't fit the vibe of the album. And while this one kind of fits the overarching theme, the twinkly, light, gentle sounds of this just doesn't really fit any of the different sounds we've heard here. It's a sweet song. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think there's any way you could possibly make this feel like it belongs. It's just super out of place.
This is probably my favorite love song that I've heard them do, which, I mean, to be fair, is not a lot of them, because Danny's a depressed motherfucker. But this one, I like this one, but I really, 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 really fucking wish it was on a different album. This just doesn't fit with whatever... I mean, I guess to be fair, out of all the other albums they've done, I guess this one fits it the most. It has a less pop-punk, more alternative feel to it, but it's still just... It still feels kind of out of place. But I mean, honestly, with everything else to it, it's refreshing to get like a legitimately like uplifting song from him. That's like actually love is love, and it's true. Like it happens. Like I don't know. It's a good song, not good fit for the album.
The obligatory acoustic song. I'm glad that it's not depressing and that it's uplifting, but not my cup of tea personally. And yeah, I do agree that it doesn't really fit with anything that we've heard up till now. Not my thing, but if you enjoy it, cool. Track number 6, Heaven's Gate, Sad and Sober.
Man, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. I think the references to stories and like specifically the reference to Chekhov's gun, right, is kind of neat, but like I don't know, the song just kind of boring. It doesn't give me a whole lot.
I feel very much the same, and man, that description of a Sunday afternoon, that's it. That's definitely hit home before.
It do be a Sunday afternoon.
It do be a Sunday afternoon, yeah. Now the sad and sober parts I don't know about, but it's yeah. There's just not much for me to say about it. It's fine. I don't know. Like I said before, the hardest thing for me to get over in this album is the mixing and production. It's just so off kilter from what they've been doing that it feels too like jarring, I guess, coming from the last couple albums that were mixed to an almost like like pop punk perfection. It was like the quintessential pop punk mixing, and they kind of threw that out the window for some guys that are experimenting and not really doing enough with it. So it's okay, but nah.
Yeah, I also feel pretty mad about this. Nothing really stands out to me. I don't think the track is like bad or anything. It's just kind of whatever. All right, number 7. We Look Like Lightning.
What song do you wanna die to?
I just so there are a million reasons that somebody might tell Dan to, go see a fucking therapist. I don't know that there's ever been one like this. Just, hey, we're doing this world tour. I want a plane. I feel like I might crash. Let's think about what song I want to listen to as I die. Like that's a whole new level of being anxious about like very routine things, dude. I get when like you don't fly ever and you're nervous about airplanes. It's another thing when you're literally on a 2-year world tour. Get over it, man.
He asked what song do you want to die to. I very much know what song I do not want to die to, because I'm pretty sure I would punch him in the goddamn face if he started playing this on a plane that was going down. I would lose my goddamn shit. The only part of this song that I truly enjoy is the bridge. They were using a synth or something in the beginning, and Dan should not, for whatever fucking reason, sing over a synth. Doesn't fucking work for me. I don't know what it is. I hated it. Other than that, this song is so fucking skippable. I would. This is the first song on any other albums that I'm like, I will actively. Well, okay. Other than that one album that was all sad shit, I'm like, I'm skipping this one. This one's an automatic skip.
I actually really liked this one. There was like that bass groove bit in the middle that I liked a lot. I do kind of think that the lyrics are a bit much. Like, come on, dude. Like, I understand why people don't like flying. Like, it can be a little scary sometimes, but I fly pretty frequently, and I honestly don't mind it. I just chill out. I bring my fucking Steam Deck, and I get like free ginger ale. It's like you just chill out for a couple hours. It's not a big deal. It's like if there's turbulence, it's like, oh, it's a little exciting. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird.
I mean, I white knuckle fucking flights because I hate flying so much, and I don't think the idea has ever popped into my head. I wonder what song I would listen to as this plane was going down.
Yeah, I'm not
say
thinking
that's on my head.
I'm not thinking about that either.
Yeah,
I do think that if that's what Dan's thinking about to write a song for while he's on a plane, yeah, maybe he should go see a therapist or something because something's a little fucked up. But my point is, I think the song's alright. It's pretty good. I liked it. All right, track number 8, "The Ghosts of Right Now."
I think this song is super approachable. It's easy to listen to. Like it's a pretty solid song if you stop paying attention to it. I guess this is just another one that like the closer you listen, the more muddled everything sounds, and it just the mixing is terrible. Like in the last time that they go through the chorus, there's a place where the guitar just kind of picks up and starts hitting like a really high note, and it just gets lost behind everything else that you can just barely hear it in a way that like it should probably be more noticeable. The mixing is just awful enough to really put me down on this.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it. I do like it. It does have a very catchy, accessible sound to it. But yeah, just like all the other songs in this album, my primary issue with it is the mixing and production overall.
This is another one where it is vaguely reminiscent of like some My Chemical Romance type shit, which is very weird that has happened twice. There was like a section at the beginning where I thought I caught like an organ or something, maybe for like a second. I don't know. Yeah, like I do agree that there is a very obvious issue with the mixing, which is a shame because a lot of these songs I would have enjoyed a lot if not for the mixing being bad. and I'm trying really hard to just look past the mixing and just be like, yeah, it sounds cool. I like elements of this, but the mixing is kind of just souring it a lot, unfortunately. All right, track number 9, When the Blue Finally Came.
Watch you jump off of a cliff and start to laugh.
Yeah, just kind of ends, huh?
Anyway,
I think that the issue with this album, this song being a perfect example, it's just that it's forgettable, right? Like an hour from now, when we're done recording this podcast, none of us are going to think about the fact that this song exists ever again. Like, there's just nothing that sticks out in a good way or a bad way. Like, there's just nothing that really pops at you, and I think it's a pretty big indictment of how boring this album is.
Yeah, that's sometimes it's sometimes not a good thing to be like, well, it's not good and it's not bad. 'Cause, I mean, at least something like Get Stoked on It. It was so fucking ridiculous and kind of out there that I'm like, I have to remember that. I mean, that shit's hilarious. Fucking, what was it? Kool-Aid, like the fucking album.
Punch, tell me.
Yeah, the fucking the fucking cover on it all by itself is interesting enough for me to remember almost everything about that album. This album isn't bad. It's just boring for me. It just is a little bit. It's just a little too forgettable. Like, I'll definitely remember the kind of like low key whiplash from some of these songs, going from like acoustic to changing their key, not changing the key, but like immediately shifting in the quick. It's just kind of forgettable. Like Ted says, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is supposed to be an intro for the next song, because unless it just ends abruptly and then the other one just so happens to abruptly begin, but just kind of a nothing acoustic song. In fact, I've forgotten most of the track already. Other than the name of the song and him singing the name of the song, I don't remember anything else about it other than it being acoustic and not really memorable. All right, track number 10, The Orange Grove.
You're watching decay right through your teeth.
It's just another kind of boring one. Again, pretty forgettable. I think it's better than some of the slower tracks on the album. Like, as far as this album is concerned, I think this is on the higher end of things. I also think that the mixing is less bad on this one. Not that it's good, just less bad. The instrumentation on this one feels better than most of the rest of them. But I did notice, Conley, more so now that I'm paying attention for it, as you said that Dan's vocals are so much louder than everything else, that I think this one is one of the more egregious ones, that he's just so goddamn loud.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking that too, that like outside of Dan, this probably had one of my more like preferred mixes on the album. I also just kind of preferred this song compared to the rest of the album. It has, I guess, kind of the more pop punk kind of feel to it that I enjoy from them more. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy this one way more than I've enjoyed probably the other half, the better part of the album.
Yeah, this is another one that I liked. I don't really have anything too negative to say about this one. It's okay, I guess. I wish I had more to say about it other than it being okay, but that's just how it is. All right, final track number 11, The Ocean Grew Hands to Hold Me.
When I was in shivers.
An isolated song. I absolutely love this one. This is the only one from this album I actually like intentionally listen to. But it's just a very solid end in a very sad way to an otherwise kind of pathetic and forgettable album. I think it's deep and meaningful. I think it kind of ties in the unity that they looked to with a couple of songs, not with all of them, but I think their Wonder Years really have a knack for writing the end of an album and just kind of tying everything together. And I think this is arguably the best example so far.
Yeah, I actually do. I do like this one a bit more. I do like it a little bit more than I liked most of the other songs on this album, and this would probably be like a highlight for me, I'd say. But yeah, this is just an end to an album that is unfortunately just kind of forgettable.
Yeah, I do think that some elements of this do stand out more than some of the other tracks. Just to kind of summarize my thoughts on the whole album, there were tracks that had some cool elements that I really wanted to like, but again, going back to the inconsistent mixing and just some kind of other elements just made it to where I couldn't fully enjoy some of the songs. I think the most blatant example of the mixing just being bad was definitely in that first one, and then it was just kind of hit or miss for the rest of them. I don't think that they really hit their overall goal of making an album where the theme was unity. It's like maybe 2 or 3 of them, but certainly not all of them. Just kind of going through the Genius annotations here. It cites an interview with The Independent that the band did in April of 2018, where Dan said that this was his favorite song they had ever written up to this point.
Huh. Interesting.
I think it fits as an individual song. I think this does better than a lot of them. Like in earlier albums, there were concepts at play that like made individual songs that were better to listen to necessarily, but I don't know that there's one as well crafted as this one. Again, it just comes at the end of like an otherwise like really boring album. I think for the album the songwriting process is very cool. Like definitely taking that like global look and trying to like, these are all the places I've been, the things I've done, still comparing it to home, still comparing it to his life. Like the songwriting process and the stories behind them are super cool. I think it's super forgettable. I've listened to this album dozens of times before, and there were still songs that, as we went back through them, like I was looking at the lyrics before they started playing and going, "Do I remember this one? Did I ever hear this one? Is this like it just?" It's a very forgettable album, and it's kind of unfortunate that we've been kind of like building up in process. I know the last one we kind of gave them a break to just be sad for a little bit, right? But like even still, the quality of the album was decent enough, and this just it kind of feels like a letdown at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm happy that I looked ahead and that the next album goes back to using Steve Vetz as their producer mixer, because he is worlds ahead of Joe and Carlos, because these two guys made some less than ideal decisions with the mixing and production that, in my opinion, just really hurt this album more than anything else. Because the lyrics, I think they're actually pretty good. I think that there are a couple lines where I'm like, this just sounds like I'm 14 and this is deep, like personified. Like the look like we look like lightning to them. I was like, this is just I am 14 and this is deep. What song am I gonna die to? But other than that, the lyrics were pretty good. The instrumentation was good. All of them obviously are very, very talented and know how to play their instruments well. It just comes down to that mixing that I just can't get over.
All right. I guess we can try to do our rankings here. I really want to put this one higher. I not higher. I kind of want to go reverse order with this, but it's just the mixing thing that kind of throws this one off for me, because again, there are elements of some of these tracks that I really do like parts of them, but it's just the mixing that kind of ruins it and makes it less than ideal, unfortunately. I think I'm going to put this one reverse order, but put it like maybe above the upsides for now. That'll definitely change. I've had a very hard time at trying to rank this band because it's not a genre that I listen to very often. So it's like I'm just struggling to go back and remember like which ones I've liked more than the other ones.
I think for me, this one sits at fourth. Like, I don't think it's as good as the trilogy, but I still kind of prefer this album over No Closer to Heaven. I think that one was just sad for the excuse of being sad, in a way that I personally didn't enjoy. It's not a bad album. It's just kind of forgettable, and I don't know. I think it suffers a little for that.
So I think I would probably go the trilogy going backwards. So The Greatest Generation, Suburbia, Upsides. Then I think I'd put No Closer to Heaven, and then City Sisters, and then Get Stoked on It. Part of me wants to. I'm probably going to go back and re-listen to Get Stoked on It just so I can fully remember everything about that album, because I after listening to this one, I really need to remember what the mixing sounded on that first one, and just being like, okay, so do you sound better than the band did a decade ago? If you can do that, I will keep you above Get Stoked on It. If I listen to Get Stoked and that mixing sounds better, this is going last for me. It all depends on how well Get Stoked goes when I re-listen to it again.
Oh, it's bad. I'm sorry in advance before you put yourself through it.
It was fun.
All right. I do have one last thing. Hold on, I have to double check something really quick. I did forget one. Hold on 1 second. So, I bought some things between the last time we recorded and now, to the surprise of literally no one. So, I got, let's see, I got Death Magic by Health. This was the first album that I listened to by them after the Max Payne 3 soundtrack. So, Health, a band that I've been obsessed with a lot over the last, I don't know, 4 years or so. I love these guys. Getting to see them this month, which I'm very excited for. They did the soundtrack for Max Payne 3, and then they followed that up with this album. Prior to this, they were doing mostly kind of noise rock stuff, and then they kind of moved on to kind of industrial rock with some electronic stuff going on, and yeah, I like this album a lot. Also got the... I hope I can show this album cover. It doesn't show anything too egregious, but I'm still gonna try to be careful with this. So this is the reissue of Devin Townsend's Infinity. So he retook the photo for the album cover 20 some odd years later. If I can find this stupid thing, there's the original cover, so you can see them side by side. There's a little write-up in here where he's talking about like how what he thinks about the album after all these years, and I don't know. I thought it was cool to just that he redid the album cover and did a little write-up about it after all this time. This is a weird one. I have Devin's autobiography, and when I was reading through that, it kind of seems like he was going through this kind of God complex thing during this time period, and he thought that this album was like super important or something. I don't know.
Wait, did you say Devin Townsend, right?
Yeah.
Devin Townsend having a God complex. I never would have guessed that.
I don't know. This one's just really weird, but I like it for that. Good album. I also picked up Tom York's debut solo album, The Eraser. I've been listening to this one a lot recently. Nice. I love the title track on this. It also has the song Atoms for Peace on here, which would go on to be a band that Tom would form with Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers and a few others. They only did the one album, Amok, but I've been listening to Tom's solo stuff as well as the Atoms for Peace album, and really good stuff if you're into more electronic sort of stuff. Also picked up Blade's first mixtape, Glue. This was like a limited release on their web store, so I was very surprised to find this. I don't know. This one is all about aesthetics for me. I feel like from this album to now, Blade has definitely kind of matured, and his stuff sounds way different than this did. It's like kind of whiplash going back to this album, honestly, but it's a vibe, and I enjoy it. So yeah, that's all the update stuff from me. Nothing else. Next episode we will be finishing up with the Wonder Years, and I think I have finally decided what band I'm going to select for our next round. Ted will probably not be happy with me, but that's fine. It's whatever.
I'm sick every Sunday moving forward.
You gonna tell us? You're gonna let us make us wait?
I'm thinking clipping.
Yeah, I kind of saw that one coming. Yeah, Ted, you're probably not gonna like this at all.
I'm sick every week after next. Sorry.
So it was a toss up between clipping, health, or swans. Be glad I did not pick swans.
No, I don't think Ted would like any of those bands in any capacity.
I mean, health is all right once you get past the first 3 albums.
See, I love it, but I don't think Ted would love
it. Yeah. Ted wouldn't be into it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Alrighty. If you guys got nothing else, we can wrap up.
No, I don't think so.
All right. See you next time. Later.
See you.